that Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Hump Day Wednesday, people, on the SportsGrid Network. This is the Early Line. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. You know us. You see us each and every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. right here on the grid, bringing you the information that you need, not only to understand what happened last night, what's going to happen tonight, and also into the future. We set the table for your SportsGrid day here, and I think, Joe, we do a pretty good job of doing that for the people out here.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, Donnie, and you get it all in kind of one-stop shopping right here to start your day. And it's certainly with the early lineup. So in case you had to go to sleep like Donnie last night, you didn't miss anything here.
No, we don't miss anything. We get you caught up. Joe gets me caught up and everything, and away we go, which includes the NBA, Joe, was back in our lives last night. And it's kind of odd to say because it just feels like baseball season just started. Like we're doing our first couple shows in like late March on, hey, baseball, how's it going to turn out in April? And that season goes by quickly. But the NBA, Joe, it's October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and into June. That's unbelievable. It really is.
Yep. Yeah, it's not overnight. So get used to it. But a lot of people, Donnie, especially football fans, you know, it's if they're not pure NBA fans, and certainly from a betting perspective, right, they don't even look at the NBA until Christmas, right? That's when the season starts for them. But for the rest of us, you know, the markets don't adjust. The markets are not as tight, Donnie, in the NBA like they are the NFL. There's a lot more softer games between now and Christmas, so I wouldn't ignore it completely.
Let's not ignore the early lineup either. On a Wednesday, hump day here, because we got to be talking about the Jets. Now, understand this. The only thing that you can do to an NFL owner is you can't really restrict funds. Like if you say, we're not going to buy any tickets, they're already plus money from their TV contract alone. It's almost like they don't care. Like, sell it out, that's a secondary option for us. But just walking into a room and saying, I'm the Jets owner, should bring enough shame where you should think about selling the team. Not Woody Johnson. You know what he's interested in right now? Quarterback stinks. What do you want? I trust my head coach. I'm still going to make a lot of money. I got this nice hat on. I wear a suit and deal with it.
Yeah, it's refreshing, Donnie, that basically he's saying what we all know to be true here. But I mean, listen, this was the hand you dealt Aaron Glenn, and he is trying to figure out what to do with it. And a lot of what he said in that was true, though, as far as Justin Fields goes. But it also appears he's going to give Aaron Glenn more than enough opportunities to right this ship. But it's not going to happen this year, Donnie. We can forget that.
Like big markets are supposed to dominate, right? Like New York City markets. I understand there is a quote unquote salary cap in the NFL that every team circumvents as long as you have the money to spend. The Giants have the money to spend, and so do the Jets. Like, in what world can we get back? Like, you do have, like, the Yankees are good at baseball. Like, say what you want, but the Mets are good at baseball. Like, the Giants are rarely, it feels like, good at football, and either the Jets. Like, is there ever going to be a year it's like, whoa, the 9-2 Jets and the 10-1 Giants by a certain type in the season? Is that ever going to happen?
Well, here's the other problem they got going on right now, Donnie, is that now the Jets are on the clock simply because they have a guy that can be the face of the franchise for the next decade now in Jackson Dart. And they gave him a sidekick in Cam Scatterbo. Now they are going to be the face of New York football here. And the Jets, well, it's going to be your move come draft day. That's apparent. So, you know, they'll have an opportunity to right this ship, but let's hope they make the right decisions.
How about the right decisions? Probably is correct from moving on from Russell Wilson in Denver because you got a young quarterback here in Bo Nix. It looks like he has the ability to come back on football teams as he's doing nonstop this season alone. But we had an argument on Sunday of, I got a head coach saying, like, boy, I wish you put that backup quarterback back in there because he really stinks. We didn't want to see Jackson Dart. Only to have that quarterback who was cut. And by the way, got paid a lot of money to get cut basically from the Denver Broncos and shifted over to the Pittsburgh Steelers and found his way to the New York Giants. Russell Wilson, he ain't happy, but he's not surprised, he says.
It's amazing to me, right? Like, so Russ, you basically highway robbery. You got paid to suck. And then when they wanted to try to adjust your contract to try and give themselves an opportunity to better the franchise, you were like, yeah, no. And then they benched you. And then now apparently it still sticks in your craw. Like, what does Russell Wilson give a crap about what Sean Payton has to say at this point in his life, Donnie? I don't get it. I really don't get it.
By the way, sooner or later, it's a you problem, right? Like, we weren't in the era of college football where you just transfer around. You could pick any team yearly. Russell Wilson didn't, end his career. Hey, NC State. Oh, where'd he go? Well, Wisconsin. That's interesting. You go to the NFL. You start with Seattle here. Looks like you're on a trajectory to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Next thing you know, you find yourself in Denver. Next thing you know, you find yourself in Pittsburgh. Next thing you know, you find yourself with the New York Giants. And by the way, because I know there have some teammates over the past, like, yeah, Russ is a good guy. But it seems like everywhere he goes, like, he just alienates the locker room or just doesn't get along with them. Is that right at this point now? We can agree?
Well, I mean, listen, when before Sean Payton got there, it was clear that Russell Wilson didn't care what anybody else in that organization. I mean, the locker room was littered with Russell Wilson guys. So when Sean Payton got there, he was like, listen, this is over. It's either going to be my way or you're out. And basically it didn't work out all that well with them. Russ thought he was going to steamroll Sean Payton, and that didn't happen.
Didn't happen there. You know what is going to happen, though? Carson Wentz gets another start for the Minnesota Vikings as they wait for the young, hopeful franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy to return back to the starting lineup. Wentz, Thursday Night Football, to save his job and maybe the Minnesota season. Come on, Minnesota, rack up some dubs.
Well, if nothing else, Carson Wentz has solidified himself. He will have a job in the NFL for as long as he wants now. I mean, I don't think there'll be a situation where Carson Wentz starts the season not having a contract on the team. And that's kind of what this was for him. And if I'm Minnesota on a short week, I'm holding J.J. McCarthy back anyway. Give him a little extra time to prep. I don't hate the move, but kudos to Carson Wentz because as a backup quarterback, he should be on a roster each and every year moving forward.
Yeah, basically the function of a backup quarterback is, can you take a snap? Yes. Can you throw the football? Yes. Can you at least give us competitive games? Yes. And you find yourself with a job for life. The best position in sports probably is the backup quarterback, typically until the backup quarterback has to play an extended period of time. SGA, he played an extended period of time. Why? We had to extend a couple periods last night to get a victor, and that was OKC last night by a point, double overtime. What a way to start the NBA season. Raise the banner, score 35 points, and come away with a victory over the Rockets. Look at the records, man. We're already at the end of the season. Wow, it's crazy. I thought it was opening night, Joe.
Could not have started off better for the NBA on NBC here with the opportunity of being able to get it done. You got to love it. I hope more of these primetime games in the NBA this season feature as many current stars as we got there last night, because I'll count me in. The ratings should be through the roof.
Yep. Ratings through the roof, which is what we like to see. And also that includes ratings through the roof there in Los Angeles. At least the ratings are through the roof for Luka Doncic. We know he can play ball. We know he's in shape, but is anybody else in shape around him? When's LeBron coming back? We don't know. Austin Reeves, can he be that sidekick? Well, last night, the Golden State Warriors were the better basketball team here. Even though Luka almost had a monster triple-double night, you better expect a lot of those performances if you want the Lakers to compete on a night-to-night basis. That's what it seems, Joe.
Yeah, and listen, he could have dropped 50 if he would have hit a couple of threes there. It was the weakest part of his game, but he's not going to get a ton of support, and they're certainly not going to shut anybody down defensively, this Lakers team. They're going to have to outshoot a lot of teams here to wins because LeBron is not going to help them become better defensively when he comes back.
Artie Moreno, I'm going to be your manager here. Can you get me some pitching? Probably not. How about a couple? Probably not either. By the way, the crosstown rival Dodgers have a payroll that dwarfs us, and they win every year. And they took our best superstar when they didn't want to sign him. Congratulations, Kurt Suzuki. Handle your business as the B team out there in Orange County.
Yes. Yeah. Congratulations is right. Listen, you got to be in it to win it, right? So kudos to him, but something tells me you took a lot less money than what Albert Pujols wanted, which is why you have the job.
Adam Silver, who was roundly booed last night, but every commissioner was booed when they step into the limelight, dapping up the players last night. But he was talking about the WNBA. They need big but fixed salaries here. Salary cap mandates. Maybe Major League Baseball should take a cue there from Adam Silver. We're going to talk NBA action next. A big card tonight, people.
That Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Yes, we had the NBA opening last night. Yes, we reviewed it multiple times today. We got exactly what we wanted. Good basketball games, superstar athletes outside of really injured players played last night. Isn't that a novel concept? Put your best foot forward, NBA. The people watch, enjoy, and talk about of how glorious it is. But we know how this works, Joe. In about 1 month's time, me and you on this very show on, let's just say, Hump Day Wednesday, will say, ooh, look at this game tonight between two star-studded teams, only to find out those stars won't be playing that star-studded game, which is the primetime game on national TV. The NBA always trips itself up. But let's bask in the glory right now of what we're getting out of the NBA and what we saw last night, which includes the Eastern Conference. Let's take a look at some of the teams that we believe could win the Eastern Conference. And you might say last night, hey, about time the East gets involved, because last night it was 2 games between 4 Western Conference teams. The New York Knicks, plus money, a plus 210 price to win it. The Cleveland Cavaliers at plus 210. The Knicks at a plus 370 price. The Magic plus 650, as I'm dyslexic right now. And the Hawks, Pistons, and Celtics behind them. Opening up the season in the Eastern Conference tonight, Joe. Is it true the Cavaliers should be taking this down?
Listen, they should be the favorite, right? I mean, both the Cavs and the Knicks, for the most part, return. I mean, the Knicks returned all 5 starters, right? So they've got some continuity, but a new head coach. And boy, oh boy, how close is Cleveland going to get? They have the right pieces. Health is going to be an issue again for Cleveland as they move forward here, but both are certainly going to want to play a very physical and tough style of basketball. So injuries are going to be a big concern moving forward for both those teams. But the East is, I mean, not even close to what the West is, Donnie. So to me, there are 2 clear favorites, and that is the Cavs and the Knicks that take it down.
Like, you see the Celtics at 11-1, and we just understand they're a great organization, and maybe Tatum will be back and they make a couple moves at the deadline, and Cleveland's not as good. The Knicks aren't as good right now, because it is, to me, truly, like, Cleveland, I do think, is the best team in the East, and I agree with the odds makers that you should be in second place there with the Knicks. But it just feels like one move here, one injury here or there, and it is completely wide open in the East, Joe.
It really is. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are interested in buying the Hawks, but I don't see it. I mean, I love Quinn Snyder, right? But I just don't know that this is the kind of team that is going to be able to take down a Cavs or a Knicks here in the long run. So, and again, another team that can't seem to stay healthy at all over the season. Not buying what a lot of people are buying right now with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, let's go flip it over to the Western Conference. You saw that graphic come up. We could put that up again. OKC, fresh off of their victory last night, are the favorites at a plus 125 price. You got to hold on for 6 months to get that money back on that ticket, which is wild. Nuggets, Rockets, Clippers, Lakers, T-Wolves. Now that's a conference, Joe. You go up and down, and you're going to say, even if the Lakeries are in there right now, an 11-1 price on the graphic, you get what you get there, man. You can make a case for these teams.
Yeah, you absolutely listen. They should be the favorite. I mean, they just showed you why they're the favorite last night. But I think also Houston showed you that they absolutely, in a 7-game series, what kind of heavyweight fight would that be there? And why do we keep forgetting about Denver? I mean, the best player in the NBA plays on the Denver Nuggets. And it's not even close as far as I'm concerned. So the most unstoppable force there that is going to have an opportunity once again to play spoiler when it's all said and done. And look at that number. You want to give me 5-6-1 on the Denver Nuggets? Yeah, I'll consider it.
Yeah, darn right we will. How about this, Joe? Let's consider some of these basketball games that take place tonight. The Clippers and the Jazz, 9 p.m. Salt Lake City, a 10.5-point favorite for the Clippers here. This is the time we get the Clippers, where they're at their healthiest, Joe. Anticipated starting lineup tonight: Harden, Beal, Leonard, Collins, and Zubac. Kawhi Leonard getting paid from the Clippers and from Arbor Bank Trees or whoever it is. Who should be there tonight? Is this a double-digit victory for the Clippers, or can the Jazz surprise on opening night in elevation? And maybe James Harden say, looks like he's a little out of shape. Couldn't be him, huh?
Well, you know, the Clippers went on I think they won 18 of their final 21 games last year to make the playoffs, right? 50-32. And then, of course, they got destroyed by the Denver Nuggets in that first round here. But the good news is Kawhi Leonard is the healthiest that he has been apparently there. And, well, let's face it, he only played 37 games last year because of the knee. But he's starting the season healthy, which is a good sign. For the Utah Jazz, Donnie, it's going to be all about the youth. Number 5 pick, Ace Bailey, right? My guy, Walter Clayton Jr. from the champion Florida Gators there. It's all about the future for Utah. And I can't wait to see how it all unfolds, because they got a lot of very young and very good pieces on that Utah Jazz club.
You know, I can't wait to see, like, sometimes, like, in the NBA, like, you get those anomaly-type players, like Shaquille O'Neal in the 90s, Will Chamberlain back in the day, like, game changers. The reason I bring this up is your superstar, Victor Wembanyama, who's already freakishly tall, gained an inch over the offseason. I don't know how you can defend him. I don't know how you're going to get a shot up over him here, but it's the Battle of Texas tonight, and the Dallas Mavericks are favorites by -2.5. I love this. The NBA did a good job here. We want to see Spurs Mavericks opening night here, and we're going to get that.
Well, you got Cooper Flagg, who is the league's youngest player, right?
He's
on now. 18 years old.
Yeah.
He's 18 years, 10 months, I think is what they said, and a absolute superstar. And then, of course, you mentioned you got Victor Wembanyama, their own 21-year-old center. This is going to be the battle for the next decade plus, Donnie, that we should all sign up to watch for. I think this is fantastic. And tonight is our first glimpse at what the future between the Spurs and the Mavericks, two teams that are going to be very relevant for quite a long time again.
Ant-Man's heading out west to go and take over the Portland Trailblazers tonight. They come in as a slight favorite. You open up at 3.5. Most outlets here sitting between 3.5 and 4s, depending where you're shopping at, and a total of 220.5. The Rose City going up against the Timberwolves here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. This Portland team, what a finish last year, and they have no more DeAndre Ayton because he was terrible there. But they got Holiday in there now. They got some interesting pieces to surround Henderson and the other young guys they have. But they're going to get tested here against Minnesota tonight for sure.
Quick one between the Kings and the Suns. The Suns are at home, favored by 4.5 to 4.5 to 4, depending where you're shopping, and a total of around 229.5. Joe, Kings, Suns tonight in the West.
Suns are in a tough spot here, but how bad are the Kings that they're still getting 4 points here against this Phoenix Suns team that's, I don't think, going to be very good this year.
Let's switch it up on the betting markets here. Let's hit some Kalshi prop bets that you might be interested in, huh? Interesting times right here on the grid.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's bet.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes.
Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Calcium Polymarket here. A fun way, an interesting way, I should say, to bet professional sports, and more importantly, some professional topics here that you don't get. Similar to the stock market. And Joe Ranieri, I know you have a pretty good grasp on this, and some people might be listening in saying, I don't really know what polymarket is or Kalshi and why this is important. And by the way, like, from a network perspective for the show, we're not just pimping something out. Like, we're saying this is kind of a unique market that some people might get into, and we're getting asked questions on it. So we might as well provide some segments here to understand what exactly these markets are. And to be honest, Kalshi just signed with the NHL as one of their premier markets right now for sports betting. So it's not as if it's some backwater thing that's illegal that you can do. It's legal and being sponsored by the major sports at this time. Can you explain, Joe, just quickly in a nutshell, what Kalshi and also polymarket actually do and why some people might be interested in it?
Well, it's a platform that enables you to trade yes or no questions with contract prices based upon whatever the probability, estimated probability of an event actually happening. The interesting part about this, Donnie, is that it's not like a sports book where Kalshi is holding, has any, invested interest one way or the other here. They're basically the middleman, and you're buying into a market like you would buy with any other market with contracts. You can get in at one price, Donnie, and if that price goes up before the event ends, well, then guess what? If you bought something at, let's say, $1, but it's up to $15 before the event happens one way or the other, you can cash that contract in or sell it or whatever it is. It's very much like a predictive marketplace, no different than what you get on Wall Street and other places, which is why it is governed by the Securities Commission and nothing else.
You know what's interesting about this, too, because sometimes you have to look at it like a different perspective. Like we always talk about, like, I don't want to put $100 down on, let's just say, OKC at a plus 120 price to win the NBA championship. I do better things. But if you look at it like from a stock market mentality, and the question we're going to ask right now, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to play together in Boston again is basically what the question is. Like, these two guys were on the same team. They will be on the same team. Now, granted, if Jason Tatum says, oh, my gosh, I love Boston and I want to stay here, but my Achilles is so bad I can never play again, that bet would lose. But understand this. Let's just say he does play together within 6 months. He gets a game in late April where they don't trade Jaylen Brown and they play. If you put $100 on will these two play together in Boston, the return would be $20. So $100 would pay back $120. That's a 20% increase on the funds that you put in. Now understand, so how do they determine that here? It's listed in the rules summary. It says if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown play a game for Boston before January 1st, 2027, the market resolves to yes. The outcome is verified by ESPN and the NBA. Now granted, it's verified because they would get on the court and play a minute and it would be logged. But it's interesting to say, like, let me put $100 down. Let me make 20% on my investment in 6 months, and then I'll cash that out. But as Joe pointed out as well, if those numbers are changing back and forth rapidly, you can buy in and buy out at that time. It's just a really interesting way to look at the market. Then again, let me just bet on FanDuel, DraftKings, or Bet365, tie that money up, and I don't see it. It's the stock market. It's going to be going like this up and down, and you can watch your money, Joe, in real time.
Yeah, and basically you are buying into a position that this is going to happen at least once by January 1st, 2027. And, a couple of different things here. Jaylen Brown, we know, is going to be the center of attention for this team while Tatum recovers from the Achilles here. But from an organizational standpoint, you got new ownership there. And it looks like all the moves they have made and the money they have cleared up here is about keeping Brown, Tatum, and Derek White together for the near future. So, yes, that is why it is absolutely, the market believes that they will play at least one game together before January 1st of 2027.
How about this one? Now, this is why we start to get fun and have some action. And by the way, $17,848 have been bet on this question, Joe, at Kalshi. How many pro football games will Taylor Swift attend this season? The forecast at 9.5 right now. So if you list at least 9 games and you put $100 down on that, it pays back $137. So a 37% increase on your money at this point standing if you bet that at 9. Also, Joe, the rule summary state, if she attends at least 9 regular season pro games during this pro football season, then the market resolves to yes. But understand this, it does not include playoff games, Joe, just the regular season. But I don't know how many games she's been there. But if you factor on, like, let's just say 8 home games, where is she going to be? Like, she's got to go to a road game somewhere, I guess, at that point, right? And make all the home games.
Yeah, I think they have her as an average of 9.3 games during this season here. And a lot of that has to do with her reduced touring schedule and this maybe being his final NFL season.
Incredible stuff here. By the way, quick one to fit in. Will Bill Belichick leave UNC this month? 13% chance. So if you drop 100 on that, you'd make, wow, what? Almost a 10-time investment back if he leaves, Joe. My goodness.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheridan always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes. Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Oh, the NFL, people. There's so much to go over right now. It's a great time in sports, and we're not even to Halloween yet as we dress up and masquerade as 2 guys that think we know about sports here and just talk to you on the early line on a Wednesday morning on a hump day. It's Donnie Right Side, it's Joe Ranieri. It's how we get down to business. Now, the business at hand here deals with the Miami Dolphins. And that business could be new quarterback, new coach, I don't know, change your uniforms up again. Do something because it's not working. Miami went on the road in, let's just say, inclement element conditions in Cleveland and got absolutely waxed last week. They get a dome this week. Should be much better. I don't know how much better it's going to be. Atlanta's got a pretty good defense, and they got Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Miami comes into this game, Joe, between 7 and 7.5 as underdogs and a total of 44.5. It seems like the lights got turned out on the Miami Dolphins. I don't know what's going to happen this week, but I don't expect the electricity to kick in for a Dolphins win on the road. But can they keep it close in this one, Joe? That's the question.
It's awful there for Miami. I mean, the look-ahead line was somewhere around 5.5, and now all of a sudden we're up over a touchdown, and I think that's pretty telling. Listen, no doubt that Atlanta, much better at home in a dome, certainly from a defensive and offensive perspective here. They kind of got exposed a little bit going out west, but that was a short week. And I don't think we gave San Francisco enough credit there in order to be able to get it done. But now they should be the favorite. But should they be laying more than a touchdown? There's just nothing redeeming to like and think there's a bounce back in the Miami Dolphins in any way, shape, or form here. They are a fade or pass kind of situation here.
Fade or pass situation. That could sound like the New York Jets as well. No wins on the NFL season, going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Bengals, who maybe salvage their season. Joe Flacco will be back under center. Talking about the Bengals, a 6.5-point favorite over the Jets. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be, but there's no way your owner comes out and says, this bum can't throw the football, and he starts again this week, no matter what Aaron Glenn tells you to say. It's probably going to be Tyrod Taylor. Don't think we're going to get Garrett Wilson back just yet, but also, the defense has been playing better for the Jets over the past 2 weeks. Now, granted, maybe the competition on offense, not so good, and maybe leveled up a little bit this week. But Sauce Gardner did get a concussion on Sunday. And in today's NFL, Joe, they typically don't play the following week. And also understand this. If you can play the following week, wouldn't it mean like the Jets are 6-1 in a big divisional matchup against Buffalo? I don't care what happens, coach. Sacrifice my long-term, playing in the NFL because I need to be back. An 0-7 team rushing back their best player on defense, probably not going to happen. But the question is, Joe, are we getting a boost because the owner ripped the quarterback and Tyrod Taylor, who the team's backing up in the locker room? Does that even help at all? Or is this another Jets like, oh, my goodness, are they bad?
Listen, the Jets now are dealing with injuries to Sauce Gardner, who's still in a concussion protocol. Garrett Wilson likely not going in this one. Breece Hall got banged up there in the Carolina game. He is likely not to go. So does it really make a difference who the quarterback is there? If it's Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor? It really doesn't here. This is another situation, but I'll tell you this, Donnie, and we talked about this in the spread lines this week. If this line gets to 7, I'm promising you there is going to be an influx of Jet money coming into the market simply because who is Cincinnati with one of the 31st ranked defense in the NFL? Who are they to be laying a touchdown or more against anybody here? So I think once this thing, if it does hit 7, you're going to see a lot of Jet money hit the marketplace here.
And we've been talking all week long, too. When you understand the Jets, they're a bad football team. I get that. But there's something about a quarterback whose game plan is not for him being inserted ice cold into a football game. I told you, he's just as bad at this point. That's not the case. Tyrod Taylor is going to get an entire week of a game plan put in specifically for him. And yes, as Joe said, you're not going up against the Baltimore Ravens 2000 defense. You're going up against the Bengals, one of the worst defenses in football. Nice day on turf. I'm not saying I'm going to take them. I'm not saying they're going to cover the spread. I'm just saying they probably look a little bit better than at least they did last week, where they were close in a football game, but just didn't have any offense. We'll check that out. Now, we questioned the quarterback who's going to be there for the New York Jets. Who also is going to be there for the San Francisco 49ers? TBD is listed. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's practicing. Mac Jones been playing. Both banged up. We'll see who gets the start. The one thing I do know is C.J. Stroud's going to be under center with not a lot of action on the outside. Robert Saleh, maybe his best defensive effort I've seen in him, he's a good defensive coordinator, was last week. Everybody banged up on that defense. They were sensational against Atlanta. And I guess you look at the Houston team, this game, look, 41.5 yards. Look at that and be like, they ain't getting 40 points in this game, are they?
I don't even know why they're a favorite at this point. I mean, the Texans have done two things this year, Donnie, right? They have dominated absolute dumpster fires for teams like the Titans and the beat up Ravens who had the JV squad out there. And then the other version is the one that has absolutely no offensive value whatsoever. They can't move the ball at all. Call me crazy here. I mean, the 49ers, as beat up as they have been, still getting excellent quarterback play there for Mac Jones. Shanahan's is a great coach. And Robert Saleh in there doing the most without guys like Fred Warner on that side. No Nico Collins. They're not going to run the ball on the 49ers. Listen, the best rushing team in the NFL, Atlanta, with the best running back, couldn't run on the 49ers. They're not going to run on the 49ers. So I'm with you. They are absolutely a team total under bet for me moving forward, especially when they play competent defenses.
Yeah, let's take a look at the next game up here on the Browns and the Patriots here. Don't look now. We told you the Patriots going to have a softer schedule. Did you know the Patriots just won 3 straight road games? I don't care who you play. That is a really good feat in the NFL. They return home, and they're roughly a 7-point favorite across the board against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have a very good defense, but understand this. Drake May's playing good football. Rookie quarterback on the road in Dylan Gabriel. Do we see an under in this game, Joe? Can New England be trusted to win by a touchdown or more? Or does Cleveland's defense rise to the occasion and slow this game down?
But the problem is, I mean, congratulations on those wins. You've played nobody. You have one of the worst strength of schedules there is right now in the NFL. So win those games is good, but it's the defense. The defense of the Browns will be the absolute best unit on this field. And let's see how Drake May does against this Browns defense, because they're not going to be like every other team. It's not the Titans defense you're playing. It's the Browns defense, which is a totally different ball game.
Yeah, that game is going to be won or lost based on what Cleveland brings to the table on offense. If they can get their young superstar running back. And by the way, 2 Ohio State guys going to go toe-to-toe in this game. But one guy, Quinshon Judkins, really showing out. The other one, just basically waiting to break into that starting lineup and stay in there, and Travion Henderson. Tennessee and Indianapolis, we might have thought at the beginning of the season, hey, maybe Tennessee can have a decent year, but this division is going to be up for grabs all the way through. Doesn't look like it's the case, man. Indy is a really good team, but Indy is a 14.5-point favorite at some outlets here, and a total of 46.5 to 47.5, depending where he's shopping at. You look at the Colts and you want to say, like, every week they keep winning, and why do we keep knocking them? It almost like it feels like we need to see the Colts like at the Kansas City Chiefs, like, okay, now you get a real football game. They should wipe the floor with the Titans this week, no?
Donnie, the question is, where is the line in the sand before we start seeing the Titan money? Because it ain't with the hook at 2 touchdowns at 14.5. Is it 16? Where is that line going to be drawn before we start getting the buyback here? This is a awful Titans team. How they even won one game is beyond me. But this is a bad team. But even at 14.5, we're still not seeing any Titans money in the marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet on them right now. Like, sometimes you take a look, the coaching change can make a difference there, and you add some elements there to your offense. Let's really slim it back for Cam Ward. I still think Cam Ward's going to be a good quarterback. He's throwing to guys you never heard of in the NFL on a bad football team. It's almost like, what do you want him to do at this point? But it's still the NFL week to week here. You know, everybody's looking at that game. You're like, there's no way you can take Tennessee. Well, that means that's not a 28.5-point line like it's college football. It's 14.5, and that's a ton of points regardless of who you play in the NFL. You're right. It's like the Colts get out to a lead and maybe they miss a field goal, or maybe they fumble inside the 10-yard line. That's all it takes. That's a 14.5-point line, not 2.5. Those things are going to make a lot of differences here. But I'm excited about this week, Joe. But you did point out there are a ton of high point spreads in the NFL, or a touchdown or higher. The haves and the have-nots lining up. The haves and the have-nots in golf. Yeah, golf's still going on. My man Keith Stewart joining us next right here on the show.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse, because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes. Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
A lot of NBA talk today, a lot of NFL talk, a lot of hot topics, Kalshi Poly Market. We cover it all on the Early Line Radio on the SportsGrid Network. And yes, did you know it's a little white golf ball that's still being knocked around in the professional ranks? It's Donnie Right Side, it's Joe Ranieri, and it's Keith Stewart. You got to get us caught up to date here. Just because we're winding down on 2025 doesn't mean, Keith, we don't have some golf to talk about. How's it going this morning?
Joe, Donnie, pleasure to be with you. You know, It's a week on, a week off, but the PGA Tour, they're making some moves. We're going out to Utah again for the Bank of Utah Championship.
How about that? The Bank of Utah Championship here, Keith. We said the Black Desert Resort Golf Course in Utah, which usually means we're playing at elevation, and these guys can smash some golf balls. So most people say, wait, the Ryder Cup's done. Like, why are we still playing tournaments? Keith, lay it out for the people. What happens from today through the end of the year till we start the next official season, I guess you could say, of the PGA Tour?
Donnie, you know what? Nobody does it better. You are the GPS of the PGA Tour. Let me break it down for you, for sure. Including this event, we have 4 more left on the schedule. If you're looking for your card, just your regular card for the PGA Tour, you got to be in the top 100 on those FedEx Cup points list. And then if you as a little extra bonus, a little carrot at the end of the stick, if you're top 10, if you're between points 51 and 60, then you get in those 2 early signature events, the one out there at AT&T and then Tiger's event at Riviera, the Genesis. So those are a big deal. And you got a lot of guys in this field. You've got 21 guys in the top 100, and then you've got another couple of guys in the top 50. After that, in this 132-man field, you've got over 100 players that are outside the top 100 in the world. Last year, we saw Matthew McCartney come off of the KFT Korn Ferry Tour, and then he won right away. The guy sets himself up for the next couple of years on the PGA Tour. I think we're going to see a similar story like that this week. I'm going deeper down the odds board because this thing's an absolute birdie fest.
It's interesting that you say that too, because yes, I'm sure that the under par to win this thing is going to be crazy. But if I'm right, if I remember correctly, Keith, these greens are huge, which means that somebody better be able to keep it within 2. You can hit the green, but 3-putting becomes an issue here. So what are some of the stats? Are we looking at better putters here? What wins this tournament here altogether?
Joe, perfect transition into Keith's keys. Say that 3 times twice, right? Hey, first thing you got to do is avoid those 3 putts. That was the first thing on my list, Joe, and you brought it up, right? Average green size, 7,000 square feet, right? Vegas has the over-under at 21.5. So they expect you to make some putts. And, I said this last year on the show a year ago, and that is when you go to a new venue, the number 1 strokes gained stat that correlates is putting. Good putters can read new greens and they can control their speed. There was a ton of 3-putting issues last year. It was 14% over for the average, over the PGA Tour average for the field at this event. Big greens, guys are all over the place. And you know what? With wide fairways, everyone says, oh, geez, this is a bomber's paradise. But Donnie brought it up a second ago. We're playing at 3,000 feet of elevation, which means you're going to lose about 3% of the distance, maybe almost 4% of the distance. So you don't necessarily have to be a bomber. And a little bit of a secret tip here, guys. Yes, we played here last October, but the LPGA, which you guys know I follow and I handicap, they played here in May. And I do not see a correlation. All the pundits this week are going to be saying, hey, you got to take the bombers. You got to take the bombers. Well, on the LPGA side and the PGA Tour side last year and in May, that didn't correlate. You got to take the best ball strikers. This is an approach like playground. The guys there's 51 acres of fairway, Joe. 51, right? Like you and I can hit the fairway. It's not a problem, right? You got to be able to hit it close. And then after that, you got to be able to putt. And of course, the last thing is that, people will talk about, there's a bunch of par 4s over 500 yards. Well, guess what? At that elevation, they're not as long as you think. You want those guys that are really good at mid-iron shots, 170 yards, 175 yards or greater is about 52% of your approach shots. So as we're building out our betting cards, you're looking for guys that can definitely putt, guys that are good in that mid-iron range, and then also the guys that are really, really solid when it comes to striking the golf ball. You don't have to be a bomber.
Keith, let's do it on a Wednesday morning as we wait for another tournament to happen. The early leans on the early line. What are they?
All right, I love this kid right now, Michael Thorbjornsen. Not just because I get to call him Thor, but because this kid not only does he? You know what? He does bomb it, but he's really, really accurate. He gained 12 strokes on the field over in Japan, the other side of the world, and this kid's killing it, right? And he's an absolute straight flusher of the golf ball, but his putter has been popping lately. He started the week at plus 1,800 on FanDuel. He's down to plus 1,400. So, people are thinking the same thing I am. At the elite level of this leaderboard, I think he's definitely someone to pay attention to. Now, much further down the board, I've got a guy by the name of Taylor Montgomery. Now, Taylor Montgomery, he started the week at plus 8,000. He's down to plus 7,000. Another good trend on the market. But Taylor Montgomery's dad is the general manager and director of golf at Shadow Creek. Shadow Creek out in Las Vegas is very similar to the Black Desert Resort course that we're going to this week. It is absolutely played at elevation there at Las Vegas. And you, of course, have these really, really intricate greens there. If you've ever played Shadow Creek, you have definitely three-putted multiple times. Taylor Montgomery is one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. Tied 6th at the Sanderson. He gained almost 9 strokes with the flat stick, and he gained another 2 on approach. That is the recipe we're looking for this week. So I love a little Thor, and I love a little T-Monty.
Love this. I can't believe it. So we've got, and I love these kinds of tournaments this time of year, Keith, because we're talking big numbers here, right? I mean, there's no 2-1, 3-1 Scotty Scheffler in these tournaments. This is where we can cash some lotto tickets.
Absolutely. I mean, Michael Thorbjornsen and Matt McNeely, those guys, they're sitting there in the mid-teens, and those are your favorites. But the guys that win this event are the guys that are really going to contend. That leaderboard is going to be filled. It's going to be absolutely filled with guys in that, like, plus 5,000 to plus 10,000 range. There's going to be a ton of money to make in the placement market. You're going to get definitely some top 10s that are going to come from deeper down that odds board. There's so many ways to make money this week. And I tell you what, guys, I mean, this is absolutely something that we're going to see coming down the road. These guys are going to be playing against each other more and more, because as Brian Rolapp builds out his Super PGA Tour, we're going to see a lot more events like this. So pay attention to everyone on the leaderboard.
I love it. Also, there's a guy named Unknown on the leaderboard at FanDuel at 1,000 to 1. You can bet right now, people. You know it is not an unknown. That's Keith Stewart. That's our guy on the PGA. We'll talk to him again next week. Have fun, people, betting the PGA. We will too.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse, because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheridan always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes. Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Yes, time flies when you're having fun. A 2-hour show turns into a roughly 6-minute show now at this point right now. We covered everything you need to know on a Hump Day Wednesday right here on the Sports Grid Network, from the NBA to some golf. Yeah, golf's still taking place now, to the NFL and so many hot topics. But now's the time where we say, you've heard us talk for so much of the show. We want to hear you talk. Well, at least through the computer at this point. Here's our Fade the Public poll. You watched the game last night, people, and how do you get back to us in a response when we ask questions? It's simple. Go over to X, at SportsGrid, hit the follow button. Every morning around 6 a.m., a question will be released that we want information from the public on to determine if we're going to fade the public or not. That question this morning, after watching OKC with a 1-point victory in double overtime over the Houston Rockets, the question was, will OKC win back-to-back NBA titles this season? One question, 2 answers. Simple yes or no. I voted no, along with 74% of the betting public here. Not because I don't think OKC is good. It's so damn hard to repeat. That's why, Joe. What are you thinking here on this question?
Well, and the other thing, Donnie, is that we talked about it earlier in the show. That Western Conference is ridiculous. And it's not that, listen, they have all the same guys back, Donnie, right, for another championship run. The problem is everybody else chasing you now is also better. And we saw that last night with Houston. So, you know, again, you go from the hunter to the hunted. It's a totally different animal here with OKC. We'll see how they handle the pressure here moving forward.
Yeah, again, they're a really good basketball team. They're going to get one of their better players back at some point in the season, and then you say, all right, what's going to take shape? But once we know injuries happen, long season, what seeding do you get entering into the playoffs? Do you have to go to Denver as opposed to Denver going there? It's a fun team to watch play out. They were exciting last night again, picking up that victory. Didn't cover, but they did win that game here. Now, it's that point of the show. We're going to get down to business. I told you yesterday, like, we're a team here. I lost yesterday. Joe won. It's a rare occasion that we go 0-2. Your worst case is usually 1-1 with a 2-0 opportunity. Let's get down to the business of bye. The NBA, people, it's back in our lives. It's only fitting that we probably have 2 games, at least, to the NBA to bet on tonight in this bye segment. Joe, where are you going tonight? The NBA, it's an open book.
I am going to go to my Miami Heat taking on the Orlando Magic tonight, Donnie. And I love the under in this game here, 216.5. And I think that's being generous given the injuries, quite honestly, to both sides right now. Where Jalen Suggs likely not going here tonight for Orlando. We know Ware also questionable for Miami. We know they are not. They're not going to have any of the big scoring that they had hoped to have. Bam Adebayo is going to be the guy that has to make it up with Wiggins and Norman. But we know Miami doesn't like to play fast. They're going to slow this tempo down. It's about defense. And it's the same thing with Wagner and Boncaro and, Desmond Bane. But there is no way this is going to be some wild shootout in game 1. Miami wins games by playing suffocating defense. So does Orlando. I think this thing should be right around 210, Donnie. Gives me 6.5 points of value, and I'll take it to the under.
As the most unbiased man here in sports, particularly on this network, Joe, I bring to you the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. I will be cheering for the Philadelphia 76ers. And by the way, all offseason in the summer, it's like, man, Joel Embiid, like, what is his injury? Is his knee just that bad where we won't even see him till December? He's going to be in the starting lineup tonight. Now, Paul George not going to be there, but certainly on the mend. And as Joe always points out, like, the Sixers are an unbelievable team. If you just look at the paper, like, wow, the bench looks deep, a good mix of young talent with Embiid and George. They should be able to put it together in a wide open NBA, specifically Eastern Conference. But we brought to you earlier in the show some of those odds on to win the Eastern Conference. The Sixers ain't showing up in the top half there, and there's good reason for that. The Sixers tonight are getting 2 to 2.5, depending on where you are shopping at tonight. The total is 227.5 to 229.5. I'm going to take the Boston Celtics tonight. And we read to earlier that starting lineup of the Boston Celtics, just in rare form, as you like to say, for what we've seen over the Celtics for the past couple of years. But I'm just not buying into the Philadelphia 76ers. I will be cheering for the Philadelphia 76ers, but I will be taking the Boston Celtics tonight in the Boston Garden to knock off my Sixers here, Joe. How about that? Unbiasedness. We only get to the winners, Joe, and that's what the people need. They don't need people cheering on their fandom here and just betting random games.
Impressive stuff, Donnie. I'm shocked you're starting the season off that way here, but I don't blame you in the least.
It's one of those where you win the game, you win money, you lose the game, and your favorite team won in the NBA. It's a win-win, people. The same thing you get from us, which we'll be back early tomorrow morning.